Welcome to Medica Nova Wellness Studio with your educational videos about optimal health and the most innovative and holistic approach to your well-being. In today's video, let's explore how you can manage and yes, maybe heal narcissistic personality disorder with natural and effective therapeutic tools. The terms narcissist or narcissistic personality disorder require a little bit more education here before we actually label somebody to be a narcissist. So while a touch of self-centeredness, need for admiration, maybe difficulty taking criticism, not necessarily doesn't warrant the diagnosis of being a narcissist, but when the traits of being self-centered, egotistical, and extremely manipulative go to the extremes, then yes, we maybe have a basis for personality disorder. And this video is really important, not just for clients and patients, but also for healthcare practitioners. So enjoy this video. To stay updated with more ongoing videos, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, share and like it with your friends and families, and don't forget to click that bell as it notifies you every time I upload a new video. Some updates here at Medica Nova, at the Medica Nova Online Education Department. We have now partnered with the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, and we have released a wonderful 8 weeks online course, Positive Psychology and Mental Health, the Science of Well-Being as a Choice. It comes with 12.5 continued education units and credits, and it is now available on the website at medicanova.net, next to all the other courses where I teach homeopathy, health and wellness coaching, mental health, quantum healing, and so much more. And if you want to schedule your appointment at Medica Nova, contact us at health@medicanova.net. So let's go over what is narcissistic personality disorder before I give you the remedies which really have a transformative effect here. So it goes here way beyond someone who is just looking in the mirror and says, hey, look at me. A true narcissist acts in ways that are extremely toxic and dangerous, and this can greatly impact relationships, putting strain on family members, loved ones, friends, co-workers of the narcissist. And you can find true narcissists actually at every level of society, especially in the higher positions. Now, this combination of an inability to empathize, in really understanding the feelings of the others, coupled with a high level of grandiosity, can lead to harming others without remorse. You rarely hear an apology here. So narcissists are known for putting perfectionist-like expectations on others and then berating the others when those expectations aren't met. They really want to be treated like royalty. And what we have here, we have to really realize that many of us are dealing with narcissistic personalities each and every day. So narcissistic personality disorder isn't just a challenge for the one who actually experiences this disorder, but this disease can cast a wide net, quite negatively impacting people in the narcissist's life, so they rarely have friends. And the words and actions of a true narcissist can cause extreme high stress and leaving lasting damage on parents, on siblings, on friends, loved ones, co-workers, and so on. And that's why really it's so important to learn how to identify narcissism in the correct way. But behind the mask of this ultra confidence, never forget there lies this fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. The biggest fear of a narcissist is really about rejection and feeling abandoned. It may be hard for a true narcissist even to accept help, and to, because the idea of losing control or losing power is unimaginable, or they would never sort of admit that there's something wrong with them. So it might be a little bit difficult but it's worth a try. So in the next video, I will more focus on the recipients or the victims of a narcissist. But in this video, let's really focus on these personality disorder. So the official medical definition of a true narcissistic personality disorder is according to the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. And here it says narcissistic personality disorders is characterized as a pervasive pattern of grandiosity, and that can be a fantasy or it can be just the behavior, need for admiration, a lack of empathy, and that's beginning by the early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts indicated by 5 or more aspects. And we want to look at these aspects now. So first, we start with this grandiose sense of self-importance. For example, they exaggerate achievements and talents, expect to be recognized as superior without actually having their achievements. They don't have maybe the diploma or the certification. They think about, they fantasize that they have it, or they have so many talents, right? Is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, even ideal loves. Believes that he or she is quite special and unique and therefore can only be understood or should associate with sort of special or higher status people. And they require extreme admiration and therefore have this sense of entitlement. For example, they may have unreasonable expectations of especially favored treatment or automatic sort of compliance with his or her expectations. They are extremely exploitative, for example, take advantage of others to achieve his or her needs. Having said that, they lack empathy and is unwilling to recognize maybe or identify the feelings and the needs of others. Is often envious of others, or believes that others are envious of him or her, therefore show extreme arrogance, haughtiness, and this attitude of royalty. But to diagnose narcissistic personality disorder as psychology must make sure that there are other criteria involving this personality disorder, and so they must be met. So it can't just be a little bit of arrogance. And some of these involve an excessive need for admiration or setting personal standards unreasonable high. And this has to be constant. And that's here the key. It's not just a little bit here and there or a phase of a development like being a brat of a teenager, for example. That doesn't count here. Or social cultural environments, or drug use or medication, or if somebody maybe had an accident and there's a head trauma involved. All of that needs to be taken into consideration. With this disorder, you see this constant behavior. It also is determined that there needs to be a problem with relationships. True narcissists don't have friends, right, or not long-term friends. This can translate as a lack of empathy or having mostly superficial relationships dominated by a need for personal gain. We also see a lot of depression, anxiety, lots of physical pain, fear in general, and this perfectionism often plagues a narcissist. So we want to look here in this video specifically for 2 types of narcissism. The first one is grandiose, or the overt narcissist. And here we see this grandiose narcissism, which includes a desire to maintain a pretentious self-image and almost a strong need for the admiration of others. And these narcissists tend to be truly confident, right? They have this, they have this sense of power, So they can be very dominant. So this aspect of self-esteem is not really part of this issue here and this type. Whereas the vulnerable or the covert narcissist shows much more sensitivity and also emotions. They feel extremely helpless and anxious and very victimized. They will tell you that when people don't treat them like royalty. So vulnerable narcissists appear to be overcompensating for this low self-esteem and this deep-seated sense of shame that may date back from early childhood. So they develop these behaviors as almost like a coping mechanism to deal with maybe neglect, abuse, dismissive style of parent-child attachment, which meaning the parents never developed a close relationship or bond with the child, and so the child really never felt safe and secure. As I said, the biggest fear of a narcissist is being rejected, neglected, abandoned, right? And yes, there will be abandoned because they're so nasty to everyone else. So characterized by this preoccupation with grandiose fantasies, this type of narcissist fluctuates, therefore, between feelings of superiority and inferiority and this fragile self-confidence. This type of narcissist is plagued with self-esteem issue, completely opposite to the overt narcissist. So no matter how perfect his or her life may seem. So we ask ourselves here, well, when we talk about personality disorder, is there maybe a physical disorder or some kind of anomalies happening in the brain? And here we refer to the narcissistic brain. And in my research, yes, there is something. So a while ago, scientists used MRI brain imaging to show actual brain variations in people who lack empathy, which is this key feature of this personality disorder. So in a study, researchers studied 34 people and 17 were full-blown diagnosed with being a narcissist. And scientists found that people diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder exhibited structural abnormalities in the cerebral cortex part of the brain, which is responsible for processing and also generating compassion. They also found people with the disorders that the brain's external nerve cell layers of the cerebral cortex region was actually a little bit thinner than compared with the control group. So this is important to know that there may be something structural happening as well. So let's look at the symptoms and the signs so we truly understand what a narcissist is about, and then I share with you great, targeted, very transformative natural remedies. The first theme is being egocentric. So the looking good in every sense is vital to someone with narcissistic personality disorder. They have this childlike need to be the center of attention. They arrive late at meetings and parties, right, but make a big drama out of it. They say, oh my God, the traffic was so bad and blah, blah, blah. And we all say, come on, let's just get on with what we need to focus on. But they don't. They also have a lot of tendency for name droppings, right? Oh, I know this person and that person, and who cares? But presenting themselves as highly accomplished, even if they haven't accomplished much. Placing blame on others when there's a setback, and holding grudges, absolutely. The second part is this overvalues of the self and devaluing others. So because narcissists view themselves as very special and unique, as I mentioned before, they tend to see everyone else as either marginal or inferior. They're classic bullies, especially in childhood. You see them already coming forward with this behavior. Sometimes the digs are very subtle, but if you are aware, you hear the negativity between the lines very easily. Putting other people down to elevate themselves. Belittling spouses or children in front of people. So, they have no shame, humiliating others. Frequently berating waiters when you go out for a nice meal, or waitresses, really being condemning here. The third one would be, instead of empathy, you find this arrogance or this entitlement. So while most of us learn as children how to understand others' feelings and how our action also impact people, narcissists tend to have little ability about that, to sympathize or to understand the feelings of others. So the more you talk to someone with a narcissistic personality disorder, the more you get the impression that they really don't care about you. As I said, this deep lack of empathy, and in fact they view sort of your needs, even when you're sick, as a weakness. Right? It's like, what's wrong with you? I also would say they take shortcuts. They bend the rules and violate boundaries. And that's where it becomes dangerous, because they trespass the law. People with narcissistic personality disorder often feel they don't have to work as hard as the others, or they don't have to play by the rules at all. So lying about past accomplishment or credential is one of them. They may be having affairs without feeling any remorse. Pushing the envelope with people, especially laws and rules or social norms. Definitely never apologize, and only marginally maybe apologize when they're caught breaking the rules or hurting others. So you can see they need to be in control. And yet, having said that, ironically, they land in professions which have to do with the law or medicine or politics or high-level executive positions, because there they can they can exhibit the power of love, or the love of power and the control of others. Often seeking jobs that bring power and authority, and seeking positions where they can control others. Controlling a spouse, with managing all the finances is a classic situation here, where then the spouse, the other one, has no say. Behaving in an arrogant or haughty manner, coming across really as conceiting and boastful, pretentious. So what are the causes of having this disorder? Well, today, medicine doesn't really know where this is coming from, but there are some factors which maybe result to it. And I would say, in my clinical practice as a healthcare practitioner, I definitely see more childhood trauma, and that can be physical, sexual, verbal abuse, early relationships, very difficult relationships with the parents, friends, or relatives. There can be a genetic factor right in there, that you had maybe a narcissistic parent, and then you are the scapegoat, so to say, but then in order to compensate for that, you become the narcissist. It can happen. Also, I can see that these personalities have a strong hypersensitive to noise, to smells, to even light in childhood. So, there is some very hypersensitive happening here, definitely. Or just the personality and the temperament factors. But in my experience, has a lot to do with childhood trauma. So is there help, for somebody who has a narcissistic personality disorder? And I would say yes, there is. It's not an easy road, because the person, him or herself, has to welcome you with natural and therapeutic tools in the first place, and there may be a difficulty, but there are breakthroughs, and I've seen them. So in my experience, the combination of psychoanalytical psychotherapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, behavior therapy in general, and homeopathic remedies, which only focus on the mental, emotional aspects, are the best combination here, in my understanding. So if you're interested in a health consultation, either for yourself or your children, contact us at Medica Nova at health@medicanova.net. Here we offer a unique blend of natural cutting edge therapeutic tools from homeopathy, from iridology, sclerology, systemic herbology, advanced biofeedback, health and wellness coaching, and so much more. So, book your appointment here. And if you want to explore more about yourself, your wellness vision, what motivates you, and how to apply your strengths in achieving your very best, then contact our other section is Medica Nova Wellness Coaching at health@medicanova.net for your 3 months coaching program. So I will coach you well. And that's my my highest intention here. Usually in these videos I have a second part, which I call it the food for thought, where I go into the metaphysical aspects of the ailment. But here I just want to mention my dear colleague Elizabeth Adelaine. She's based in the UK, wrote something really lovely about this psychological disorder, which I would like to share with you. So she said, it is well documented that the word narcissism emanates from the story of the ancient Greek god Narcissus, who, on catching sight of his own reflection in a lake, fell in love with it and proceeded to gloat on his self-importance at the cost of being able to demonstrate any empathy to others around him. So there was a real story about this term, and I wanted to share that with you. But in fact, what is a key feature of narcissism is the lack of insight the patient will manifest on how their behavior affects not only them, but, and more importantly, the damage it causes to those around them. Now, this can have a crushing effect not only on the self-esteem of the victim, but also on the self-identity. And the question is, who am I within the framework of the narcissistic perception? Now, this message is so constant and entrenched in the impressionable years of children that the victim can later no longer individuate according to their outlook and values. And that's where the deep, deep damage happens. Even years after such a relative or friend has died, if the message has persisted long enough, it is extremely difficult to eradicate this message due to its constant reinforcement and replaying in different resonance scenarios. Often there is an unconscious, we call it enabling, within the family that allows this mindset to pervade across the different members even. And this means the target of the narcissistic abuse becomes then the scapegoat. So no wonder people say such things as, I always knew I was the black sheep in the family, but I had to keep it under wraps. So this creates the ultimate emotional suppression, which can so often lead to then the disease within the individual. But more about that later on in the next video, where I focus specifically on the victim of being surrounded and being controlled by a narcissist. So today I would really like to go straight into the section of homeopathic remedies and bypass this deep metaphysical meaning of narcissism, or even the actual natural supplements which I usually talk about. Here we go straight to the core essence of the psychological disorder. Before I want to share with you some great remedies, I also want to suggest in combination with the remedies, maybe you want to start giving the Bach flower remedy, heather, like the plant heather. And as a person with a narcissistic behavior is, who is deeply sensitive to criticism and truly carries this deep fear of abandonment, heather may be a good choice here. It represents the psychological stage which is associated with non-stop talking of things that relate to them only, of course, and this goes back to feeling unloved as a child, maybe in trying to overcompensate. And here I would say 2 drops by mouth 4 times a day, and keep going this for many weeks to come. So let's go into the homeopathy. In my research, I found great references from Dr. K.S. Gopi. He's based in India. As already mentioned, narcissistic personality disorder is a mental condition in which people have this inflated sense of their importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, severely troubled relationships, and this lack of empathy for others. But behind the mask, don't forget, behind that mask is extreme lack of confidence and this fragile self-esteem that's vulnerable to the slightest criticism. They're generally unhappy. If you talk to somebody or engage with a true narcissist, you only hear negativity. The world is just against them. They don't understand them. They do bad things to them. Everyone is just an enemy. It goes on and on and on. They are non-stop disappointed about life. And especially when somebody doesn't give them the admiration and the entitlement they think they deserve. They may find their relationships completely unfulfilling, and others may not even enjoy being around them. When narcissistic people don't get what they want, they become impatient, they become angry, and especially when they don't receive their special treatment, they become very condemning and very sharp with their words. So, then it becomes abuse. So when a narcissist is really depressed, when they go into these phases where they say, nobody understands me, and even has suicidal thoughts, although they wouldn't act upon it, the remedy aurum metallicum, and in this case the potency would be 200 C, is very helpful here. The future looks extremely dark. Loss of love of life, disgust of life even, and as I said, they have in that deep black hole of depression, they maybe even have suicidal thoughts. There's this peevishness and the vehement, at least contradiction. They feel that they are more efficient than others. And I have to say, as a personality trait, they work very hard. They're very responsible. They're often, you can see them more in higher positions of society. They really maybe are the CEO of a company, and they take care of the group of people, not just one person. So they have a high responsibility, but they are very hypersensitive maybe to noise, to excitement and confusion, but then they get into these deep depressive states. Aurum metallicum is a wonderful remedy. As I said, it's indicated for workaholics, right, who focus a lot on money, on careers, and yet be prone to immense depression. We talked about the grandiose narcissist or the overt narcissists who has this big bravado, also a lot of self-confidence, so self-esteem isn't an issue here. But deep inside there is this fear of failure, but they don't show it. Lycopodium clavatum, 200 C, is a wonderful remedy. I see this remedy indicated more among men, and usually they're emotionless, they're more intellectual type, and they will do anything to get ahead. Often feels weak on the inside, they have fear of failure, but very dictatorial on the outside. They're really the bullies, and you see that in children already. Associated more with men who may abandon their wives or their kids, and notoriously also have digestive problems. They suffer from actually a lot of gas and flatulence and maybe digestive problems more. So they have a lot of domineering traits, love for power. They can't really finish maybe projects too. They started, but because of fear of failure, maybe they don't finish it. So there is a loss of self-confidence, but they don't show it. Absolutely not. So the constant fear of breaking down under stress is very strong in them. And lycopodium clavatum, is a wonderful remedy just to calm down and dampen this self-importance constantly. Another remedy which I really like, often indicated often for difficult teenagers as well, is called palladium metallicum. Now we talk about more the metals, and you find them in the periodic table more, we call it in the 6th row. These are metal and high precious metals, and they have the personality pictures with palladium metallicum, especially of wounded pride, fancied neglect. There's a weeping mood and inclined to use maybe violent language here too, and they're affected by slightest offenses, even real or imaginary. As I talked to you before, it can be fantasy or just a behavior. In palladium, they seek the good opinion of others. They make great emphasis on that and attaches this importance to them, right? If somebody says, I'm well, and I'm really good at this, they love that, they need that, they look out for that. But yet they're very egotistical and desires the praise of others. They're offended very easily, therefore, if they feel unappreciated, and they come up then with this delusion that they are unappreciated. So we talk here with a lot of issues of wounded pride, and keeps up a sort of pride in the company, but feels very much exhausted afterwards. They even feel as if they go crazy if they don't get these admiration. Another level, more extreme, is a personality which we call platina, which is the metal next to palladium, platina metallicum. Again, in the potency 200 or even higher, but here you need, of course, a healthcare practitioner or trained homeopath. Here we see a lot of mental delusions, as if everything about her were very small. So all the persons are physically and mentally inferior, but she is physically larger and therefore superior. I see this remedy a lot among women, not so much among men. Lycopodium is more men, platina is more with female. Huge arrogance, they're proud, they're contemptuous, they're haughty, pitifully looking down upon people, usually venerated, sort of a king of casting them off unwillingly, right? That is platinum. As I said, narcissism, more indicated among women, simply feels that she's more special, better than everyone else in every way, including even spirituality, right? I mean, it goes on in all aspects. Incredible vain, focused on her external appearance. They can be hypersexual as well, and have nerve pains, violent impulses. And if it gets overboard, they do have even thoughts that irresistible desire to kill, right? Kill their spouses, children, family, whatever, on seeing a knife. And yet they secretly or passionately love them. So it can get very distorted here. Platina is a good remedy. Of course, women, when they go maybe through extreme hormonal changes, then maybe some personality behaviors can be affected here. Sepia officinalis, the cuttlefish actually would be a good remedy here, because it leads then more to indifference to loved ones, the spouse, and they have a lot of irritability and anger. But that is not the true narcissistic personality disorder, what I was just describing, where you have this extreme haughtiness like Platina shows. So we have to be very careful here to really pinpoint it. If it goes really into the darker personality traits, we have remedies like stramoniums, where they really can't relate and connect anymore. We talk about suppressed anger, propensities towards violence here. So, but as I said, we have different degrees of this disorder and great remedies which can break through in combination with the right therapy. Homeopathy offers more constitutional remedies, but in this video I really wanted to give you more of a brief insight into effective and individualized remedies indicated for narcissistic behavior. So today, I know I presented a more serious topic, but it is important, and I want to show you that, this planet provides really natural remedies which can deeply, deeply heal the makeup or distorted makeup of the patient. But for more guidelines and to book your appointment, contact Medica Nova at health@medicanova.net. And lastly, have a look at our website medicanova.net at Medica Nova Online Education, where you will find certified home study online courses in homeopathy for birthing life, even during pregnancy, mental health, quantum healing, health and wellness coaching, and now we have even continued education, accredited and approved National Board Health and Wellness Coaching course, which is so fantastic. I'm so happy and really excited about it. So we are growing, we are thriving. Until next time, much love.